Hello there, and welcome once again to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the Mayor of Oklahoma City, and this is our show for July 2013. In this first segment, we're going to learn more about the Oklahoma City Museum of Art, which is located just across the street from City Hall. And so the short walk over today was accomplished by Allison Amick. Allison, welcome.
Thank you.
She is the curator of collections for the Oklahoma City Museum of Art. You know, everybody that I advise to go over there just comes back with rave reviews. So first of all, on a big picture perspective, congratulations for everything you all have accomplished.
Thank you. We're very excited about everything we have to offer at the museum. There's so many changing exhibitions, changing permanent collection galleries, of course the cafe, the store. There's just a lot to offer at the museum.
Well, this time of year especially, because people are welcoming in friends and family from around the country. And they might be thinking, well, they've seen Bricktown, you know, maybe they've been to, you know, the Western Heritage Center. Maybe they've not been to the Oklahoma City Museum of Art, and it is definitely worth the trip, both for the permanent collections and for the special exhibits that we're going to talk about. So
yes.
This show is running throughout the month of July. So what's in July that we need to know about?
Well, we have several exciting exhibitions on view in July. The first is Herb Ritts, Beauty and Celebrity, and this exhibition is on view in the ground floor galleries, and it's a photography exhibition. Herb Ritts really became known in the 1980s for his photographs of celebrities and other well-known personas. Many people, even if they don't know the name Herb Ritts, as soon as they see several of his images, they recognize the work. He grew up in Southern California in Brentwood next to Steve McQueen, and so he was very comfortable being around well-known people and had very much a sense of ease around celebrities, and that's really reflected in his work. So there's fascinating photographs.
Who's
Well, for example, Madonna's True Blue album cover, something that many people are familiar with, that was actually taken by Herb Ritts. He's photographed Richard Gere, the Dalai Lama, the Reagans, I mean just the full spectrum of individuals throughout his career.
And how long does that exhibit stay on display?
The exhibition is on view through July 28th, so it will be on view throughout the month. And I would add, he also went to Africa in the early 1990s and took a series of very beautiful photographs in East Africa, and those are also, we have a nice section devoted to that work too. So there's really something in this exhibition for everyone. And the photographs range in scale from small to quite large panels that are just absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, okay. What else?
Well, in addition to Herb Ritts, we have an exhibition called Halo Amok, which is by Wayne White. And what this exhibition consists of are very large puppet installations that the viewer can actually interact with. And the title of the exhibition is actually an anagram for Oklahoma, Halo Amok. And it's all very much inspired by that aspect of culture in Oklahoma, by the bull and ropers, the cowboy scene, and the palette of the work, the color reflects our Oklahoma heritage as well, with the shades of reds and browns that you tend to think of the western landscape. And it's a lot of fun for people of all ages because, again, you can actually pull the ropes and push and touch the art, which is something that you can't often do in a museum.
Appropriate for children?
Very appropriate for children.
Okay, and so they're not going to see a puppet show. But what you're going to see is the actual instruments behind the scenes.
Yes, was the actual large, think of them as huge puppets.
Okay. What else is going on?
Well, in addition to this, we also have, of course, our Dale Chihuly exhibition in the third floor galleries, which is just a stunning display from the permanent collection. And then just a look ahead to the end of August, we'll be opening Of Heaven and Earth, 500 Years of Italian Paintings from Glasgow Museums. And so this will be a monumental exhibition where we at the Oklahoma City Museum of Art are the opening venue in the United States for this important show.
And so these are Italian paintings?
Italian paintings.
On loan through Scotland?
Absolutely.
I don't know how that worked out, but...
And as it turns out, 2013 is actually the year of Italian culture in the United States. So that ties in very nicely.
Now, are these Renaissance era
There
paintings?
are some, yes, starting in the in the 1300s, late 1300s on.
Wow.
So just a wonderful sampling of works.
And how many works are going to be a part of this?
41.
Wow, that'll
41.
be something. That starts at the end of August.
That starts at the end of August. So a brief look ahead.
All right. Well, it sounds great. And people also should know about the Museum Cafe, because I work across the street from there. I'm there once a month or so. But other people don't necessarily know that they can come downtown and go to the museum, and then right next door is a very nice restaurant.
Absolutely. The cafe is outstanding. It's great to come throughout the week. We're open. Also, our Sunday brunch has continued to receive a number of awards. I'd also mention on Thursday nights, our admission is $5 after 5 o'clock. And so that's a great time to come down and enjoy the museum at a reduced rate. And then also to take advantage of our roof terrace, which is open until 10 p.m. with live music and wonderful views of the city.
Now, is that 7 days a week or just?
That is on Thursday evenings.
Okay, so Thursday night after
nights.
5, you get in for $5.
You do.
And you have the rooftop deck open. And
Yes.
so it's a beautiful panoramic
wonderful.
view of Oklahoma City. And very few people have actually, by the standards of a million population in our city, very few have had an opportunity to go up there. So another recommendation for you. Well, Allison, thanks very much, and we
you.
appreciate the work over there. And these special prices will make it especially inviting, I think, for our viewers.
Great, thank you.
All right, we'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine coming up in the next segment, so stay with us.
You know, I give, and it's just never enough.
Seriously?
When people take you for granted, what can you do?
Water the grass, not the street.
Using drought-tolerant plants, watering early in the morning, adding some mulch, it's not that hard. If we want to use our water wisely, we got to squeeze more out of every drop.
SqueezeEveryDrop.com. Oh, I gotta go. I got a date with a lake.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the mayor of Oklahoma City, and in this segment, we're going to visit with Joe Jacobi. He's the CEO of USA Canoe Kayak. Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
A lot of people are generally aware that there's world-class athletes hanging out down there, but you are front and center, a former Olympian yourself, and now you're, overseeing quite an operation down there. Give people kind of a big picture perspective of your sport and how it relates to Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. So USA Canoe Kayak, we are the national governing body for competitive canoe kayak racing in the United States. We are a member of the United States Olympic Committee. We're also the United States member of the International Canoe Federation. So those are the two governing bodies that we really align ourselves with. And the way I kind of explain it to people, that anytime you're watching the Olympic Games or the Paralympic Games on TV and you see canoeing, those are our athletes. More than likely their coaches work for us. And our job is to grow the sport on a national level and to win medals and dominate the world of competitive canoeing and kayaking.
Mm-hmm. And what some people may not realize is how much local involvement there is in the water. I mean, it's not just people from all over the world that have gravitated here, but you have quite a local presence of people that are being introduced to the sport.
Well, that's such a great point. One of the things that I always say is that in this country, kids are not going to their PE teachers and checking out canoes and kayaks during recess. So we've got to come up with better ways to create that gateway from the land to the water for kids. And so as much as you would like to sort of say, hey, let's go all 50 states and spread this far and wide, we do this in a very narrow way. I think the four things that I look for in a really strong canoe kayak community, we look for, if a kid wants to paddle, there needs to be gear, good access to gear, boats, paddles. There needs to be good access to coaching, someone who knows what's going on the water, both from a safety standpoint, but also as an athlete development standpoint. There needs to be access to a good river, a good waterway to paddle on, and then you got to have community support. So you take those four things, Oklahoma City has it in spades, and that's why the way we go about replicating that model is let's get this right in Oklahoma City first, and then we can really do a deep dive into how we did that here and begin to show other clubs and organizations around the country how you can use programming the water in a really smart and purposeful way to make your community a great canoe kayak community.
Are you able to connect with the schools in Oklahoma City?
Well, we do, and that's sort of in different ways. I think I would always say, I don't think any Olympic sport ever connects with a school as much as they would like to, right? I think until it's like, that is like the cool thing to do. And I remember one time going to a school in Hawaii, and I saw kids walking around the campus with an outrigger paddle, canoe paddle. Like, that was the cool thing. Not a football, not a baseball bat, but an outrigger canoe paddle. So we always have that image. Will Oklahoma City be like that one day? You have to start somewhere, and we're on a good start. And I think that you have to have mom and dads that like the idea of their kids doing the sport. Having a $100 million boathouse district doesn't hurt. You know, that gives mom and dad a lot of confidence about where Johnny and Susie are spending time after school and the people that they're doing that with. And then secondly, it's good to have kids that are kind of perpetually on their way to the next thing. They've set a big destination on the map. In this case, I'm thinking about which of these young people has really said, Olympic champion, that's going to be me. So having a guy like Dylan Puckett, who grew up in Jones, Oklahoma, racing his first Olympic trials at age 16 years old, that's the right way to kind of start down this road right now.
And had he been in the water much prior to your involvement or prior to your organization's relocating here?
Not only he had started to paddle before we moved here, but not by much. But I think one thing that's even more interesting about Dylan's story, you know, when Dylan came to the sport of canoe kayak, and I don't say this in any way to embarrass him, but Dylan was more what we would say was more indicative of our health and wellness issues that we have here in Oklahoma City. He takes up a sport that he really enjoys doing. He's involved with a group of people that he assimilates well with and affiliates well with, is supportive, but yet you're only kayaking because you decide you want to kayak. So you begin to kind of put those wheels in motions in your life outside of the kayak. Things begin to change. You begin to eat healthier. You begin to kind of approach your schoolwork differently. You begin to kind of respect your space and the family structure a little bit differently. All these pieces really kind of come together when you move kayaking to the center of the plate, so to speak.
And what sort of regional or national competitions are available to a young man like that?
Well, I think there's a couple of interesting things like that we do have annual events at the boathouse, regional and national competitions that attract people from all over. So one of the neat things about that is that if you're the mom and dad of a young person and you're sort of evaluating the cost of kayaking, well, if you're not having to shuttle your kid over to Europe and to California and to Atlanta all the time, and you've got the best paddlers in the world coming to you because we've got this great facility where they want to train, that's going to be an advantage. The kid who just thinks this is the new normal. I mean, I'm not just the CEO of USA Canoe Kayak. I'm a dad. My daughter's in the program, and this is just her normal, going to school and socializing with Olympians, with Paralympians on a regular basis. So you can expect that. But I think what really kind of makes it unique are the special events that come across every once in a while. For example, next year in 2014, Oklahoma City is going to host the Canoe Marathon World Championships at the Oklahoma City Boathouse District. So, I mean, that's not an Olympic sport, but it's a massively popular sport in Europe. You know, we'll have anywhere from 500 to 800 athletes here represented 40 different countries. Major international event. Any young person who's kayaking or rowing at the boathouse next year is going to feel the impact and the legacy that comes with an event like that.
Canoe marathon, explain more about that sport.
Yeah, so by the way, canoeing, it's not just for canoe, it's canoe and kayaking, but canoe on an international level is sort of the universal word for both canoe and kayak. So when we say canoe sprint, we're talking about sprint, canoe, and kayaks, but internationally, that's just kind of the word. So marathon, you actually paddle in boats, a lot like the sprint boats that we have at the boathouse. They're very fast, they're very tippy boats, and these are 20-kilometer races. And they'll race laps around the boathouse district, but what really makes the marathon cool is that every once in a while during the race, they get out of their boats and they run with their kayaks on a dock, and then they jump back in, and then they paddle again. So there are these, there's the only part of our sport and the only discipline where you actually get out and you run with your kayak and you get back in and
So
you
you have
keep
to lift
racing.
it over your head, I guess?
Absolutely. Well, whatever the best way is to run with them.
Can you run it under your arm?
You can if you have a good grip on the boat. It's that's the main thing, is you don't want to drop it. It's not a very heavy boat,
Right.
but sometimes it's a little awkward to grab, and when you've been tired, and also remember when it's windy, those boats
I
can,
get the picture.
can
You
kind
can
of
just
move
take
around a little
off.
bit. Yeah, it's like there's days when I go out paddling after work where I'm thinking, is this a day where I've got two hands holding the boat, or is this just a one-handed day? So it all depends on the wind.
Yeah. Well, I know you don't speak for the entire Boathouse District, but there's a lot of improvements have been made, not just in your sport. So talk a little bit more broadly about what people could expect if they come down to the river.
Well, I think the first thing that you're going to notice, project number one for MAPS 3 is the lighting, the river lighting. And I think the ability, we're turning on the lights in late June, and this is a real game change for sports like canoe, kayak, and rowing. The ability to, if you begin to look at other stakeholders of the event, not just the athletes and the families, but now you get into the media and broadcast side of it, VIP, sponsors and donors, the spectators, all these other stakeholders, these sports really thrive at night, and the ability of really creating an attraction down at the river and taking an event, a canoe kayak event, to a much higher level with a much better delivery of those upscale services that you would normally see, say at a Sky Suite, in the Sky Suite at a Thunder game, are now coming to the world of canoe kayak. And that's good. We need that. We need something that really changes the conversation and gets people to really look at the sport projected through a lens 50 years into the future as opposed to 50 years into the past. Mm-hmm. So the Boathouse District does exactly that, and the lighting for the night sprints will do just that. I think the other thing that we're really seeing is how popular that Sky Trail is. Our urban ropes course, where you clip in on the ground and you can ascend 90 feet up in the air across elements and beams, and there's a slide and now the rumble drop. The reason I kind of, even as someone whose goal it is to develop more Olympians and ultimately more medals for canoe kayak, what we've discovered here in Oklahoma City is that this attraction model, where your Olympic training site is not an elite athlete island, but it's kind of part Disney World and part Olympic training site. We have these attractions here that are promoting more health and wellness in projecting that into the lifestyle. But while they're there, they have every opportunity to learn more about kids kayaking programs, corporate rowing leagues, or all the different user groups that we reach out to. No fences, no barriers. Everybody's in under one tent. And I mean, I've been in the Olympic movement really since I was 10 years old, and I've just never seen a venue like the Boathouse. That's the game change. It's not just a game change for amusement parks, but it's a game change for Olympic training sites as well.
It really is exciting. And so as your kids and grandkids need things to do this summer, I hope you'll go down to the Boathouse and check all the things that Joe is excited about. This summer, July, August, anything we need to know on your calendar that people can come down and watch?
Absolutely. August 8th, 9th, and 10th, USA Canoe Kayak Sprint National Championships. 400 of the best young kayakers in the world coming to race for national titles. We'll have probably upwards of 50 kids from Oklahoma City racing in our national championships. So you'll be hearing a lot more about the national championships come early August.
Will that be day or night or both?
We're working out the final schedule on that. Definitely some daytime events, and we're evaluating the night piece as well.
Okay. The river lights will be going on this summer, and so one of the most high-profile MAPS 3 investments that the citizens made back in December of 2009 about to be on display. So get down and look what your investment has done for Oklahoma City and sports and athletes like Joe Jacobi. Thanks for coming on.
It's great to be here. Thank you for your service.
You bet. Joe Jacobi is the CEO of USA Canoe Kayak, the national governing body for the sport of canoe kayak for the United States Olympics. We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine when we get back.
Doesn't that feel good? We'll keep those little buggies off you.
Buying pesticides each year can add up. Bet you have leftovers.
But I never know when I might need them.
so many, something's gotta go.
I know it's tough, but
It's just not safe to store so many chemicals.
just take them to Oklahoma City's Household Hazardous Waste Collection Facility.
They'll take care of everything. Hey, is that another bottle?
Get more info at okc.gov.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. Our guest in this segment is Jacqueline Musgrove. She handles marketing for Schlegel Bikes in downtown Oklahoma City. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you for having me.
You guys were involved in one of the most, I think, heartwarming stories of the reparations of the May 20th storms. So I'm just going to let you talk and tell me. I know a little bit about it, but I want to hear more about it, about what you all did for the kids that were impacted by the storms in Moore and Oklahoma City.
Right. Well, we really wanted to not just focus on the Moore storms, but all the storms that impacted our state during the month of May. And I actually had just a crazy idea of, let's try to get these kids new bicycles, because I know that there's tons of disaster relief going on, and all of it's tremendous, but it's for true necessities of clothing, food, shelter, but people don't think of bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you lose everything.
Right.
You're not thinking about you lost your bike.
and to a little kid, I remember my bicycle was that item or object or toy that was really an escape route for me. I was able to pedal around the neighborhood, and that was my mode of transportation. And
Yeah.
just we started talking about how devastating that would be to a child to lose, you know, not only their home but also their bicycle. And so we emailed our distributors and just asked, you know, can you do anything to help us? And then Trek Bicycles actually replied and said, how many bikes would you like if we could give you bikes? And I said, well, I'd love 250. And amazingly, they said, sure, no problem. And they...
Now, tell me a little bit more about this company. Where are they
Trek
located?
Bicycles, I believe, is in Madison, Wisconsin. And
It's an American manufacturer?
Yes.
Yeah.
And their national headquarters, that's in the U.S., actually agreed to not only donate these bikes, but their staff assembled them, which for us during busy season is a huge, tremendous. We were so grateful, because the manpower alone would take weeks for our staff and even volunteers to be able to assemble all of those. So they overnight had all their office staff, whether it was the janitor to the shipping and receiving guy, volunteer their free time to assemble these bikes, load them on a semi-truck, and ship them down here for last Friday. And so the truck came in, and we were able to help 250 children that we were able to select through the YMCA just across the street from us. They have their child camp that goes on during the summer, and so kids that have been affected by the storms that had FEMA numbers were selected to have the opportunity to come to our bike shop and get a brand new bicycle that fit their needs, whether it was a boy or a girl or tall or small.
Mm-hmm.
And just watching them be able to pick out these bikes was pretty awesome.
That is an amazing story.
And they were so appreciative, you know.
Yeah.
Just the families were overjoyed to be able to take a moment out of everything that's been going on to give their child some form of normalcy of, you know, it's a new bicycle. And the Thunder Girls came out and helped us pass out the bikes, and some of our local racing teams, DNA Racing, a local cycling team, came out and volunteered with us that day and just helped us try and give these kids just something back that was taken away from them. So it was pretty tremendous.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about cycling in general in the Oklahoma City area. The citizens have invested, over the years in bicycle trails, and
Right.
and you see bike lanes in some of the streets, and we're doing a better job of sidewalks out in the suburban areas. How has the sport grown in relationship to the investments we've made?
We've seen a huge growth, especially in our shop with bike sales, but you just see more people out and about around downtown, Automobile Alley, the neighborhood we're in. The bike lanes that the city has put in has been tremendous. It just gives a cyclist more of a designated place to be, creates a better sense of awareness from car to bike, and a sense of safety for everyone involved, whether it's a foot pedestrian, cyclist, or automobile. And then the trails have been tremendous. The Oklahoma River Trail, we actually use that every week on Wednesdays for a beginner ride we have that leaves from the shop and goes down through the river trail and back. And it's just a nice casual beginner ride that just really teaches you how to ride in a group, because that's important to learn so you can stay safe and keep cars safe. People think, cyclists, you have to watch out for them, but they also have to watch out for cars too. So it really goes both ways. So just people moving downtown has definitely increased cyclists downtown, and we're a big proponent of that, and as well as Spokies. I mean, we love seeing those on every street corner, and just being able to give people a taste of cycling, try it out before really making that investment into having one of their own.
Yeah, one of the I think tragedies of the evolution of the neighborhood in the last generation has been fewer kids can ride their bike to school.
That's true.
Are we seeing any sort of a rebound in that area there? I tend to think we are seeing more kids walk to school, and sometimes a parent walks with them. A bike, it's a little trickier. I'm not sure that every parent wants to ride their bike with their kid, but are we seeing any more of that?
I believe that we are. I live downtown, and I see children every morning riding their bikes to school, whether it is them riding alone, if they're one of the older children, or mom and dad pedaling alongside of them. And even the younger ones in the bike carriers that you can put your little girl or boy in the back seat, buckle them in, and it kind of just totes them along to school. And we also see it, doing general errands. People are getting bikes that are more comfortable, and you can have panniers or baskets so you can run to the store, get some groceries, and then jaunt back home. And I think that that's a testament to the growth that we've seen downtown with more housing and people just moving to the city, to the center. And I really feel like that's a testament to people being able to ride bikes to school, the store, and just really incorporate it into their daily lifestyle. So yes, I think we are seeing a return to people pedaling to school.
Yeah. Do you all recommend that someone get a helmet if they're going to ride a bike?
Absolutely. I know I would never recommend that anyone ride their bike without a helmet, and I know that that's really a stance the shop has too. It's just foolish to not wear a helmet when you ride a bike. It should just go hand in hand. I mean, being safe and you can always be fashionable too. We have fashionable helmets.
Yeah, and cycling is a great way to stay fit. For some people, running's just not their deal.
Right.
And so they like to have a little more entertainment or a little more, involvement in the exercise. And for some people, cycling is a wonderful way to stay in shape.
It's a great way to stay in shape. It's a great way to be social. There's so many social elements with cycling. You can make new friends, meet new people, and as far as staying in shape goes, it's much better on the knees, much better on the joints. It's a low impact sport. So you're able to do it for a much longer time of your life, and you can, whether it is stationary or recumbent or a true road bike or a cruiser or mountain bike, there's just so many facets that go into biking that there would be a bike for everybody, which is nice.
And if someone is not ridden a bike in a while, how do they get started? What would you recommend?
I would recommend just coming by the shop and asking some questions, because if you just come ask some simple questions, our sales guys are able to help you find the bike that's truly right for you. I feel like a lot of people might think, oh, biking's not for me, because they see biking on TV and they see bike races. But there's casual bikes out there, and there's road bikes and triathlete bikes if you're real serious, but we also have cruiser bikes, which are nice for just a stroll around downtown or your neighborhood.
That's great. Jacqueline Musgrove is our guest. She's the marketing manager for Schlegel Bikes, and thanks again for helping to come up with the idea of giving all those kids that were impacted by the May and tornadoes a new bicycle. We really appreciate it.
Well, we are thrilled to be able to do that. Just a little way to give back.
It is, and so many people want to help, and that's really a hands-on effort, so thank you.
And if anyone does need a bike still, we do have some opportunities to give a few more away, and then give us a call at 405-601-2786. So give us a call if you know someone in need.
All right, Jacqueline Musgrove, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Mayor's Magazine. So glad you joined us. We'll be back next month with another show. I'll see you then.
I'm Lee Criswell with Street Maintenance. Help us while we repair your city streets. Please slow down and be alert in all work zones.